We don't serve your kind here. Get your black ass back on the road." The words cut through the smoke and country rock like a slap. Every head in the dimly lit roadside bar turned toward the entrance. Leather vests creaked as three bikers stood near the pool table, frozen mid-laugh. The one who spoke brick-shouldered, bald, with a Confederate patch sewn bold on his vest tossed, his cue aside like it was done. The black man at the door didn't move. He stood tall in worn jeans, black boots, and a gray hoodie zipped halfway. Rain speckled his shoulders, still steaming slightly under the heat lamps. His hands were empty, calm. His jaw was tight, but his eyes? Unreadable. Still. No one spoke. A woman near the jukebox bit her lip. A younger bartender paused mid-wipe, his rag trembling. An older man near the end of the bar stiffened, beer half raised. The air thickened. He took 2 steps inside, silent. His boots echoed loud against the wooden floor. And still he said nothing. The biker sneered, stepping forward. "Maybe you didn't hear me. You people think rules don't apply, huh? This ain't some city cafe. This is America." The man blinked once. That was all. If you believe no one deserves to be treated like garbage because of how they look, type respect in the comments. "Turn around, boy," the biker spat, jabbing a thick finger. "Or I'll throw you out myself." The man reached into his jacket slow, no threat. The bartender flinched. One biker's hand hovered near his belt. Click. He placed a matte black card on the bar. No words. The card was flat, metal, military issue, etched with a gold eagle and serial code. The bartender picked it up, eyes widening. His hands trembled as he read it silently. The woman at the jukebox gasped. "You all right?" The bartender asked, his voice cracking. "I'll take some water." "No lemon," the man said finally. A beat passed. The bartender scrambled to fill the order. Behind him, the biker's smirk faltered. "What's that card?" One of them muttered. The bartender handed the card back with 2 hands like it was sacred. "That's a SEAL badge," he whispered. "Black Ops Division." The room fell to a hush. The jukebox seemed to play quieter. The pool balls didn't clack anymore. Even the neon buzz above the bar softened. The black man sat at the counter unbothered, patient, still. "You a soldier?" The biker finally muttered. The man didn't look at him. He just turned slightly, revealing the SEAL trident stitched low on his hoodie sleeve. Almost invisible, unless you knew what to look for. Then he spoke, calm but heavy. "I'm Marcus Hawley, Lieutenant Commander, U.S. Navy SEALs. And I suggest you take your hand off that belt before you learn something the hard way." The biker stepped back, blinking. His fingers trembled now. The woman at the jukebox whispered, "Jesus." Marcus didn't raise his voice, didn't gloat. He just looked the man in the eye and sipped his water. The door shut quietly behind the last biker. They didn't say goodbye, didn't even finish their drinks. Just shuffled out, heads low, eyes hollow. Marcus sat still at the bar, water half empty. The bartender avoided eye contact but slid over a clean towel for his hands. Few minutes passed before anyone dared to speak again. The younger man behind the bar, shaggy hair, college hoodie, nervous, finally leaned forward. "That SEAL badge," he said. "That real?" Marcus didn't smile. "Very." "Damn," the guy muttered. "You didn't even blink when they came at you." "I've been through worse," Marcus said. And that was true. 15 years earlier, Georgia Backroach was 12 when the first fight happened. A group of older white teens had cornered him near the railroad tracks where he'd gone to gather spare parts for an old bike. One of them shoved him, called him a name. Marcus didn't cry. He didn't run either. He held his ground until they got bored, until fists started swinging. He bled from his lip but never fell. He didn't give them the pleasure. Later that night, his grandfather sat him down by the wood stove. "You stood still today, didn't you?" He asked. Marcus nodded. "You keep doing that, boy," his grandfather said. "Let them come to you. Then make your move when they least expect it." Age 80 Navy boot camp Marcus never talked much, but he always listened. He ran farther, dove deeper, and fought harder than anyone in his unit. Most of his commanders assumed he wouldn't last. "Too calm," one of them wrote. "Doesn't respond to aggression. Shows no anger," but Marcus didn't need to yell to make a point. He just passed every test with precision. While others panicked in underwater drills, Marcus stayed silent. While others threw punches in the ring, Marcus dodged, waited, then struck with one clean blow. By graduation, he was at the top of the class. One trainer pulled him aside. "Have you ever thought about SEAL selection?" Marcus just blinked. "Already submitted my packet. Back in the bar, present day." "You don't look like a Navy SEAL," the bartender mumbled, wiping glasses. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "What does a SEAL look like?" I didn't mean it like that, the guy stammered. "It's all right," Marcus said, sipping again. "You're not the first to assume." Across the bar, the jukebox played something slow and soulful. A few patrons who had stayed behind exchanged glances. A woman finally came forward. She looked mid-40s, business casual, with a quiet strength behind her gaze. "I just want to say thank you," she said. "For how you handled them," Marcus nodded. "It's not the first time I've been in a room where people thought less of me." "You didn't have to stay calm," she said softly. "But you did." "Calm is my weapon," he replied. "But outside?" The story had already spread. One of the bikers, humiliated and still fuming, was pacing in the gravel lot, kicking up dust clouds near his bike. "Black bastard thinks he's hot shit," he spat. Another one, the youngest, looked shaken. "That badge was real, Hank. You know what they say about SEALs? They're ghosts." "Don't care," Hank growled. "Ain't no badge gonna save him from what's coming." Inside, Marcus sensed the shift. It wasn't over. It never ended with words. And deep down, he wasn't surprised, because no matter how many medals he'd earned or how many lives he'd saved, there was always someone waiting to remind him that skin comes before service. By sunrise, the story had already traveled farther than the gravel lot behind the biker bar. Someone had posted a shaky cell phone video, blurry but clear enough to show the moment Marcus laid down that matte black SEAL card. The clip caught the silence. The fear, the stunned expression when he said, "I sign your checks." The caption read, "Bikers tried to intimidate this black man, then found out he's a Navy SEAL." Uploaded anonymously. By noon, it had over 80,000 views. At a barbershop downtown. The clip played on loop from a phone propped up on a jar of pomade. "That's him," one man said. "Marcus Hawley. Used to run track back in Georgia. Didn't talk much. Clean brother, though. He's local?" The barber asked. "Not anymore," the man replied. "Word is he only came through for a funeral, his mother." The room fell quiet for a beat. At the police station across town, it wasn't praise they were whispering. Hank, the lead biker, had already filed a complaint. Assault, intimidation, impersonating military. He growled to the desk sergeant. "Are you saying the man faked being a SEAL?" The officer asked. "I don't know. But he flashed some cards like he owned the place." The officer raised an eyebrow. "You sure you want to go down that road? If it's real, you're filing false charges against a combat veteran." Hank's jaw flexed. "He made me look like a damn fool." "That's not a crime," the officer muttered. Inside a diner near the highway, two waitresses were watching the clip during their break. "That's the same guy from last night, right?" one whispered. "Yeah, quiet. Didn't even order food. Just asked for water." The older waitress leaned in. "He looked like he could break every one of those bikers." "But he didn't. Nope. Just looked them in the eye." A long pause. "You think he's still around?" Back at the motel, Marcus was packing folded shirts, dog tags, his mother's, obituary tucked neatly between a Bible and a letter he hadn't opened yet. His phone buzzed again. New message. LT, Commander Hawley, your presence is being requested by Commander Sloan. Local incidents have drawn visibility. Maintain discretion. Do not engage. He sighed, locking the screen. A knock at the door. Marcus opened it to find a boy maybe 10 years old standing nervously with a sketch pad. Are you the man from the video? The boy asked. Marcus tilted his head. What video? The kid held up a page with a charcoal drawing. A black man in a hoodie standing in front of 3 massive bikers. The posture was perfect. Calm? Strong? Still, my brother drew it, the boy said. He said you looked like a superhero. Marcus crouched slightly. Tell your brother I said thank you. The boy handed over the drawing, then ran off. Marcus stared at the image for a long time. But not all messages were made of sketches. That same morning, someone spray-painted Know Your Place across the side of the motel wall just below. Marcus's room window. It was done in red. Fast. Sloppy. Deliberate. The motel manager had already called someone to paint over it by the time Marcus came out, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He paused in front of it. Didn't touch it. Didn't photograph it. Just stared. Then turned away. Inside the bar that night, a different kind of silence lingered. The same stools were filled, the same beer poured, the same jukebox softly hummed. But there was a new edge in the air. Whispers. Murmurs. A man in a corner booth leaned over. You? See what that SEAL guy did? That's what quiet power looks like. Yeah, his friend replied. But the bikers ain't gonna let it go. They never do. And in a trailer park just outside town, Hank lit a cigarette with trembling fingers. His pride was bruised. His ego cracked. And somewhere deep in his gut, something darker was stirring. He made me look small, he muttered. Then louder, ain't nobody making me look small. His voice echoed against aluminum walls. And his friends? They didn't look at him. Because even they felt it. Something dangerous was coming. Marcus didn't plan on staying another night, but the call changed everything. Lieutenant Commander Hawley, the voice crackled through the phone. Request from Naval Command. Hold position until local tensions are reviewed. We need optics to stay clean. Marcus stared at the motel ceiling. Cracks like spiderwebs above the bed. Same ceiling he'd stared at after the funeral. He knew what that coded language meant. Don't escalate. Don't defend. Don't get in the headlines. That afternoon, a patrol car pulled into the lot. Sheriff's deputy. Big guy. Aviators. Tan uniforms are 2 sizes too tight. The kind of man who let his silence do most of the talking. Marcus was outside, tying down his duffel in the truck bed. Marcus Hawley? The deputy asked. Marcus didn't answer. Not until he finished the knot. Then, yes, sir. The deputy leaned casually against the door. Heard about what happened at Tucker's bar. Marcus said nothing. You, caused quite the stir. Hank's a loudmouth, but folks around here, they listen to him. Still, no reply. I'm not here to start anything, the deputy continued. Just passing along a friendly word. Marcus met his gaze. Calm, focused. He's got friends, the deputy said. Ones that don't care about medals or badges. Just color. A long pause. Are you threatening me? Marcus asked quietly. The deputy smirked. No, sir. Just advising a traveler to keep moving. Marcus wiped his hands with a towel, folded it, and placed it on the truck's edge. I'll move when my command tells me, he said. Not when bullies with loud bikes or badges want me gone. The deputy didn't like that. His jaw ticked. I hope you understand, this isn't about you. It's about keeping peace. Marcus stepped closer, not aggressive. Just close enough. for his voice to land heavy. Peace isn't built by asking the wrong person to leave, he said. The deputy stepped back. Just slightly. Have a nice day, he muttered. Heading for the cruiser. Back at the diner, the gossip had turned. Did you hear the Navy tell him to stay? A waitress whispered. No way. That'd make things worse. Too late for worse. He didn't even hit anybody, someone else added. All he did was exist. Meanwhile, inside Hank's garage, the real plan was forming. You want to hit him? One of his buddies asked. He's a military man. They'll bury us. Not hit, Hank replied. Expose. Expose what? He ain't a hero. Hank growled. He's just another thug in uniform. And I'm gonna show the world what happens when people like him get too much power. They stared at him, uncertain. Uniform or not, Hank said, eyes cold, he needs to be put back. In place. The motel clerk got a visit too. Quiet, subtle, someone in a suit, with an ID he didn't fully read, asking about Marcus, where he'd been, what time he left. If anyone visited him. When the clerk hesitated, the man pulled out a folded paper marked with agency seals and blacked out lines. Just routine background, he said. We're making sure everyone's safe. But even the clerk could tell this wasn't about safety. It was about silence. Later that night, Marcus found a note slid under his door. Folded, no name. Just 3 words scrawled in thick black ink. Get out now. He read it, crumpled it, tossed it in the bin. Then opened his laptop and typed a message. To CMDR, Sloan subject. Advisory, sir. Local pressure is increasing. Deputy made veiled threats. Civilian hostility mounting. Request permission to transfer operation or elevate protocol. Awaiting orders. Halle. He hit send, but deep down, Marcus already knew. This wasn't about Navy orders anymore. This was about standing his ground, not just for himself, but for the kids who'd seen that video. The waitresses who whispered at work. The boy who brought him a drawing and called him a superhero. The storm was forming, and Marcus wasn't backing down. By the end of the week, most of the town knew who Marcus Halle was. They just didn't know what to do with that knowledge. The man didn't speak much, didn't post videos, didn't snap back. He showed up at the local gym every morning at 0600, ran 5 miles, trained in silence, cleaned his equipment after every use. And left before most people's alarms went off. One morning, a high school coach approached him. You're the SEAL, right? Marcus nodded once. Have you ever trained kids before? Marcus raised an eyebrow. We've got a wrestling team full of raw talent but no discipline, the coach added. They don't listen to me. Might listen to you. By the next afternoon, he was standing in front of 12 boys in the school gym. He didn't say much at first. Just watched them run, spar, struggle. Then, finally, you want to win? The room quieted. You don't win by yelling, he said. You win by learning how to breathe when you want to explode. By moving with purpose. By listening. One kid rolled his eyes. Marcus noticed. He didn't shout. He just stepped forward and held out a training mat. Come on. The boy hesitated. Laughed nervously. You think you can take me? He said. Marcus didn't smile. I think you'll learn something either way. 2 minutes later, the boy was on his back, blinking at the ceiling. But Marcus offered a hand up. That small moment? It spread faster than the bar incident. At a nearby hardware store, an older man walked up as Marcus waited in line. You're the one from that video? He said. Marcus nodded slightly. The man looked down, then said, I used to say some dumb things when I was younger. Called people names I'd be ashamed to repeat. Marcus looked him in the eye, said nothing. The man swallowed. Just wanted to say, thank you for how you handled it. Elsewhere, resistance still brewed. Hank was fuming. He's playing. Hero, he hissed. They're eating it up. One of his friends hesitated. He's not doing anything wrong, Hank. Exactly. Hank snapped. He's making us look like the bad guys without lifting a damn finger. You sure we still are the good guys? That got him shoved against a wall. You backing him now? Hank growled. I'm just saying, the friend stammered. You already tried to take him down once, and it backfired. Hank's voice dropped low. Then we try harder. Meanwhile, Marcus was reading a letter alone. It was from the boy who'd sketched him. Written in pencil, folded neatly. My mom says you're dangerous, but I think you're just strong. Not like punching strong, but like the kind that makes bullies nervous. I want to be like that one day. He folded the letter gently and tucked it into his wallet. That evening, the school held a community game, wrestling team versus local alumni. Marcus was just supposed to observe, but when the PNDD game, wrestling team versus local alumni, Marcus was just supposed to observe. But when the mic failed and the coach panicked, someone handed Marcus the microphone. He paused, then spoke clearly. Discipline doesn't show up in fights. It shows up in how you walk into a room. The gym hushed. It's not about proving your worth to loud people. It's about knowing who you are when nobody's clapping. A long beat, then quiet applause, then louder. One by one, parents and kids stood up, even some who hadn't clapped for anyone before. Outside, a familiar cruiser idled across the street. Inside, the same sheriff's deputy watched the gym lights glow bright. He picked up the radio mic. Didn't speak, just stared. The tide was turning, and people were starting to believe in the one man who hadn't said much at all. The gym lights were still glowing when Marcus stepped outside. Cool night air, sharp with pine and distant gasoline. Barely made it 2 steps across the parking lot before headlights flared. Motorcycle. Engine. Loud. Deliberate. It screeched to a stop inches from his knees. Marcus didn't flinch. Hank dismounted slowly. The same worn boots, same leather vest, same heavy scowl, now stretched tight with frustration. You really like being the center of attention, don't you? He snarled. Marcus said nothing. Just shifted his weight evenly. Shoulders squared. Calm. You walk around like you're better than us. Flashing badges. Talking in riddles. Behind him, 2 more bikers parked and approached, slower. Watching. A few parents exiting the gym paused on the steps. No one moved, yet no one interfered. You embarrassed me, Hank said. Made me look weak in front of my people. Marcus's eyes were steady. You did that to yourself. Hank laughed sharp, ugly. See, that's your problem. You think 'cause you served overseas, you get to walk in here like a damn king. I walked in for water, Marcus replied, and then you played hero. More people were watching now. The whispers started again. A few students with gym bags hovered by their cars. Hank stepped closer. Too close. The kind of close that begged. For a fight. You want to square up, Seal? He hissed. Drop the badge. Let's go man to man. Marcus didn't budge. You want me angry, he said quietly. Because if I respond with force, you get to be the victim. Hank blinked. If I swing, headlines change. And you go back to being the loudest voice in a town that never questioned itself. He stepped forward, just one small shift that made Hank instinctively back up. But I won't give you that. If you believe real power doesn't need to shout, only stand its ground, type dignity in the comments. Serve this country while you rode around pretending to be dangerous, Marcus continued. I buried brothers while you picked bar fights. You think you're better than me? Hank snapped out. Marcus leaned in, voice low. I don't think about you at all. Gasps rippled through the parking lot. Even Hank's own friends shifted. Uncomfortably. One looked down. Another stepped back. Marcus turned to walk away, but Hank wasn't done. He lunged. Quick, clumsy, desperate. In one motion, Marcus turned and caught the wrist mid-air, twisted, stepped, dropped him. Soft thud. Hank was on the pavement. Wind knocked out. Marcus didn't strike, didn't yell. Just stood over him. I trained to neutralize threats, he said. You're just noise. He stepped back. Held his hands up, turned to the nearest person watching. Someone call the sheriff, Marcus said, loud enough to carry. I'll wait. 10 minutes later, red and blue lights. The same deputy arrived, saw Hank on the ground, saw the crowd. Saw Marcus standing calmly, arms crossed, not a scratch on him. What happened? He asked stiffly. Marcus gestured to the witnesses. Plenty of people saw it. The deputy looked around, slowly. Too many eyes, too many phones. No. Clean cover-up this time. He turned to Hank, who was wheezing now, rage melting into something closer to shame. You want to press charges? The deputy asked. Hank didn't answer, didn't move, didn't even look at Marcus. The deputy looked back at Marcus. You want to? No, Marcus said. He's already lost more than a fight. The crowd began to disperse, people nodding, some even clapping, quiet, respectful. And for the first time since the incident, Marcus saw something new in their eyes. Not curiosity, not fear, but belief. It started with a photo. Someone had captured the exact moment Marcus stood over Hank, arms relaxed, expression calm, not triumphant, just steady. Behind him, a small crowd, silent, watching. The caption? Real strength doesn't yell. Within 12 hours, it had 500,000 likes. By morning, national news picked it up. Navy SEAL de-escalates violent confrontation with Dignity town still divided. The calls came quickly. CNN, MSNBC. Even a late-night host tweeted, "This is what calm power looks like. Marcus Hawley, you're a damn legend." Marcus didn't answer any of them. He didn't post a statement, didn't sign with an agent. He stayed in town, still training at 6A.M. Still coaching kids. Still drinking water without lemon. At the school, the team's morale had shifted. You gonna stay till finals? One boy asked him. I'll be here. As long as they let me, Marcus replied. That same afternoon, a shy student slipped him a handwritten thank you letter. Inside was a drawing of a black man in uniform surrounded by kids. Above it, in bold marker, Silent Guardian. Marcus tucked it into his wallet beside the first one. Meanwhile, the Navy took notice. His CO called late one night. You're trending on 3 platforms, Hawley. I didn't do anything, sir. Exactly, the voice said. Which is why command's asking if you'd consider a speaking post-recruitment. Maybe even teaching leadership programs. I'm not done here, Marcus said. Silence. Then, understood. But you've got the eyes of the country now. What you do next matters. At the diner, locals sat in silence as the news replayed. The clip. A few people turned red. Some turned away. But one older man at the corner booth just nodded. Didn't need fists, he muttered. Didn't need fire. That's what got me. His wife leaned over. You changing your tune, Earl? He grunted. Maybe I'm just tired of watching good men get torn down because they don't fit the picture. The sheriff's office wasn't so quiet. Deputy Lorne slammed a report on the desk. Town's making him a hero. The sheriff looked up, chewing. A toothpick. Maybe because he acted like one. You serious? He had every right to swing. Didn't. He's making you look bad by just breathing, Lorne sneered. He's dangerous. Then stop making him necessary, the sheriff muttered. At a town council meeting 2 nights later, something happened no one expected. A parent stood up, white, middle-aged, nervous. I'd like to propose the community gym be renamed, she said, holding up a petition. In honor of someone who's shown our kids what real discipline looks like. Whispers. Murmurs. But then another person stood, and another, and another. Marcus wasn't there. He didn't need to be. He was walking alone down a tree-lined street at dusk. Hoodie on, head low, just breathing in the quiet. A man approached him. Maybe 60, gray beard, calloused hands. "You know," the man said, "my father taught me that real warriors don't start fights." Marcus glanced at him. He was wrong, though, the man added. "They start battles that matter, like the one you're in." He extended a hand. Marcus shook it. No words, just understanding. Back in his room, Marcus stared at his duffel bag. Still. Packed. Still ready. But for the first time since returning, he placed it back in the closet, not because the fight was over, but because the war had shifted. And now? He had ground worth standing on. The gym plaque was installed quietly. No ceremony. No parade. Just a few coaches, some students, and a simple inscription: Halle Community Athletic Center in honor of quiet strength and true discipline. The old name, Tucker Fieldhouse, was removed 2 nights before. Someone tried to scratch the new one. It was repainted by dawn. Marcus didn't attend the unveiling. He was in the school locker room, lacing up a student's borrowed cleats. "You don't have to do this," the coach told him. Marcus shrugged. "Some of them need more than a coach. They need someone who listens." Meanwhile, at City Hall, policies started shifting. The mayor, under pressure from both media and locals, formed a diversity and ethics review panel. First time in town history. Not everyone clapped. Some called it overreaction. But others quietly started talking. About old wounds, about overlooked moments, about second chances. Deputy Lorne was transferred. No press. No statement. Just gone. In his place, a younger officer who'd served overseas. And who on his first day stopped by the school gym and introduced himself to Marcus with a handshake and this: "I know who you are. I'd like to listen if you're willing to talk." At the diner, the whispers had changed tones. "He's not loud. Don't brag." "Yeah, but look what happened." Maybe that's the point. On social media, Marcus was now a symbol. Hashtags trended. Hashtag quiet power. Hashtag stand like Halle. Hashtag discipline, not drama. A senator retweeted the video clip. The Department of Defense sent an internal memo reminding commanders to highlight exemplary off-duty conduct. Marcus's name was bolded in the list, but Marcus didn't post a thing. He still trained at 6A.M. Still coached. Still stayed quiet, except one moment during a school assembly. The students had begged him to speak. He stood on stage. No microphone needed. "You don't always get to choose where the fight shows up," he said, "but you always choose how you show up to it." He looked out at rows of kids, some who once mocked him, some who now wore hoodies that said, "Stay still, speak loud." He added, "Fighting isn't always fists. Sometimes it's being the only calm voice in a room full of shouting." That night, someone knocked on his motel door. It was the kid from the first sketch now, with his older brother beside him. The brother stepped forward, nervous. I made a digital version of that sketch, cleaned it up, added color. My teacher said I should put it online." Marcus took the printed version, smooth, vivid. He was drawn in muted blue tones, standing still against a fiery red background of chaos. "You made this?" Marcus asked. The boy nodded. "It's not just you in it," he said. "It's how we all want to feel, steady, brave." Marcus touched the paper lightly. "Keep drawing," he said. "This world needs people who can see what others miss." But not all ripples were gentle. That weekend, someone left a dead snake on the steps of the gym. Coiled. Bloody. Deliberate. The sheriff took it seriously. So did the students. But Marcus? He picked it up with a towel, put it in a bag, and handed it to animal control. Didn't flinch, didn't feed it. Just cleaned the steps and went back to coaching. Because Marcus Hawley didn't need to fight every fire. He just needed to keep standing until others learned how to stand. 2. It started with a headline, Navy SEAL or local liar? Questions raised about Marcus Hale's service record, no source. Number. Proof. Just a grainy photo, a quote from an anonymous military insider, and a venomous subheading. Is the town being manipulated by a man with something to hide? The article spread fast. Blogs picked it up. A few right-wing pundits latched on, calling Marcus a media-manufactured martyr. Comment sections filled with rage. He's not even from here. Bet his badge is fake. Another race card. Hustle. Marcus read none of it, but the gym was quieter that morning. Parents pulled 2 students from practice. Third didn't show. The principal called him in. I'm not saying I believe any of this, she began, fidgeting with a pen. But the school board's nervous. I understand, Marcus said flatly. They're talking about suspending your volunteer work until we verify everything. He nodded. Then stood up. You'll find the truth, he said calmly. She opened her mouth to say something, but he was already gone. Outside, the air felt different, not hostile, just uncertain. People avoided his eyes, murmured when he passed. The kind of silence that hurts more than words. Back at the motel, his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He answered. Familiar voice. Lieutenant Commander Hawley. Commander Sloan here. Marcus stiffened. Sir, we're aware of the article. Command is preparing an official statement. You are, of course, fully verified. I never claimed anything I didn't earn, Marcus said. I know, but optics matter. And this isn't just a PR fight, it's strategic. They want to shame the symbol. A pause. Do you want to come back? Sloan asked. Marcus stared out the window. The gym plaque. The kids. The snake on the steps. The silence. No, he said. I'm staying. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat on the edge of the bed, boots still on, eyes unfocused. A single question spun through his head. What if they don't care about the truth? Not the Navy. Not the town. The people. What if they'd rather believe a lie that made them comfortable than a truth that made them change? A knock. Late. Soft. He opened the door. It was the boy again, this time alone. Hoodie too big, shoes untied. He held up a tablet. Want to see something? Marcus hesitated. Nodded. The boy tapped play. It was a video. Clips of Marcus coaching, training, speaking at school, helping students stretch, picking up trash, breaking up arguments. All edited together over soft music. At the end, white text. We believe in Marcus Hawley. Tears stung Marcus's eyes. The boy whispered, we posted it an hour ago. It already has 12,000 views. Marcus blinked. You're not alone, the boy added. By morning, the tide shifted. The Navy issued a formal statement. LT, Commander Marcus Hale's record is spotless. 14-year decorated combat veteran. Recipient of the Navy Commendation Medal. All credentials confirmed. Local news followed. So did the mayor. Even the principal sent a message. Apologies. Your mentorship is welcome any time. Marcus didn't celebrate. He just returned to the gym, laced up his student's shoes, clapped once. Loudly, let's get to work. The room erupted in cheers. That night, someone asked him, how did you stay calm through all that? He looked at them and said, because the only thing louder than a lie is consistency. And he never missed a morning again. The town council chamber was packed. Not rowdy, not chaotic. Just full. Local press lined the walls. Students in uniform sat quietly near the back. Teachers, veterans, business owners. Even some who had once crossed the street to avoid Marcus now stood, shoulder to shoulder, waiting for the meeting to begin. The mayor stepped to the podium. "We don't always get second chances," she began. "Not to rewrite the past, but to reshape the future." She paused, looked toward the front row. Marcus sat still, hands folded, wearing a plain navy blue shirt and slacks. No medals, no uniform. Just him. "Tonight," the mayor continued, "we honor someone who reminded this town who we could be, without ever raising his voice." The council voted unanimously. The result? Resolution 1204, Marcus Holiday. To be observed annually. Not just a nameplate, not just a speech, a full scholarship fund was announced for students demonstrating character, resilience, and quiet leadership. A section of the town's war memorial was being redesigned to include the faces and names of veterans of color once excluded from earlier plaques. And beside the new gym sign, a mural had been painted in secret. Marcus Holiday standing tall, not in uniform, but in the same hoodie and jeans he wore that first night, arms crossed, gaze steady, a quiet crowd behind him. The title below? Stillness Wins. Marcus didn't speak at the podium, but outside, surrounded by students and townspeople, someone handed him a microphone. He held it, unsure. Then finally said, "I came here for my mother's funeral. I didn't plan to stay. I didn't plan to be noticed, and I definitely didn't plan to have a mural." Laughter, warm, genuine. "But I've learned something in this town. A hard truth." He looked at the faces around him. You can serve your country for 14 years and still be told you don't belong. Silence. But when you choose not to fight hate with hate and still hold your ground, something shifts. He paused. Not overnight, not all at once. But eventually, people start asking better questions, listening deeper. And that's how change sticks. That night, he stood alone in front of the mural. A light breeze pushed leaves across the pavement. His old duffel still rested in his truck bed. Packed just in case. But for now, he wasn't leaving. Weeks later, at a middle school essay contest, one girl wrote, "Marcus Holiday didn't yell. He didn't punch. He just didn't move." And that taught this whole town how to finally look at itself. Her paper won first prize. It now hangs in the lobby of the gym. Every year after, on Marcus Holiday Day, the town holds a quiet 6 a.m. run. No fanfare. Just people of every background running in silence. Together. At the finish line, they don't cheer. They place one hand over their hearts and one on a neighbor's shoulder. A reminder, power doesn't always come from fists. Sometimes it walks in calm, stay quiet, and still wins. Asterisk.